Welcome to the May edition of the RPAG Scoop. My name is Ashley Passo. I am your host and Senior Marketing Specialist here at RPAG. And this month, we're giving you everything that you need to stay sharp, efficient, and prepared. Whether you're looking to strengthen your workflow in the portal, understand how we evaluate allocation funds, or finally get PAL feeds to work across your entire book of business. We've got a lot to cover, but before we jump in, I do have a few quick announcements to go through. Let's just start with a few key updates that RPAG members should know about for May. First, please remember to mark your calendars for September 29th through October 1st for our national conference happening this year at the Four Seasons Hotel Chicago. We'll be sharing more information soon, but this is always one of the most valuable events that our advisors come to when they're looking to grow, connect, and bring new strategies to their practice. Next, we will be closing our offices on Monday, May 26th in observance of Memorial Day. And finally, I'm excited to share that we are hosting another one of our hosted webinars available to premium marketing members only. This is happening on Tuesday, May 20th with one of our ERISA experts. So this session is designed to help your plan sponsors better understand their responsibilities for ERISA and things that have changed in the legislative space. This is also a great way for you to demonstrate your value as an advisor because you can bring the educational support to the table. If you are a premium marketing member, and you can check by either going to the services that you have or by emailing support@rpag.com. If you are in the resource center, you should see the content marketing plan folder. You would go to hosted webinars and then you would click May. And that's going to be where you can find an invite template to send to your clients, Zoom instruction template so that your clients know how to join, as well as your to-do list to keep track of what you need to do and when. As we get closer to the event, we will upload the presentation deck, a FINRA letter, and a template for managing RSVPs. And after this session, you will also receive a link to the recording as well as the CE credit code that you can pass along to the attendees. This is a turnkey way to add value for your clients and positions yourself as a knowledgeable, proactive partner. If you are currently not a premium marketing member, like I mentioned, but want access to this and future sessions, please reach out to support@rpag.com and we will make that happen for you. So now that we've covered what's coming up, let's shift to some pro tips that will help you get even more out of your day-to-day in the RPAG portal. Brooke Visahi, one of our advisor service associates, is taking over the What's New segment this month to walk you through smart ways to boost your workflow, from navigating reports to managing PAL feeds and more. Brooke, take it away.
Thanks, Ashley. Like she mentioned, my name is Brooke Visahi. I am an Advisor Service Associate, or ASA, here at RPAG. My goal today is to give you an overview of some RPAG pro tips to help you become an RPAG expert. So let's take a look. RPAG Pro Tips is a short segment about some important details that you can find and use to use RPAG in the most efficient manner. Become an expert with RPAG. Through this Pro Tip segment, we're going to learn how to navigate the RPAG portal in a quick and efficient manner. We'll also learn what learning resources we have to take advantage of, and hopefully we'll discover a new favorite tool together. So pro tip number 1, take advantage of the search bar. The search bar is a tool I wish more members knew about and were able to access. The search bar appears under your name in the top right corner of your portal. You can search the entire portal through this. So not only the resource center, but also the video learning center, even your plans and clients. You can utilize the search bar best by typing in a keyword, and specifically word. Typing in keywords can help you find things throughout the portal instantly, and if you need an expanded view, it's very easy to see that. So let's see what this can look like in practice. In this example, I've typed in the word scorecard, and already it'll generate a drop-down menu of various items in the portal related to scorecard. Here we can see that there's 7 under products, 1 under provider, 35 under resource center, and 31 related videos. You'll see that the drop-down has an abridged version, but what if we want to see all 35 objects? It's really easy to do so. All you have to do is hit the Enter key on your keyboard, and it'll bring you to a wider search box. Here we can see that our resource center is full of different items, including the RPAG scorecard system versus competitors and RPAG scorecard cheat sheet. You can click on the hyperlink to download the document, or at the very bottom, it says Access and Resource Center. You can click there and it'll bring you to its location within the Resource Center itself as well. Pro tip number 2, The easiest way to accept new PAL feeds. If you attended the last webinar, you would have seen Alexis talk about PAL and all the great things it brings. One of the quickest ways to accept your new PAL feeds is from the landing page. One of the fastest ways to accept new PAL feeds outside of going into the main menu and looking under Manage PAL Feeds or going to each client page, you can take a shortcut from the landing page. You'll notice in one of the widgets under My Activity on the left-hand side, there's a hyperlink that says PAL Feeds to accept. Clicking on this will bring you to a shortened Manage PAL Feeds page that only has PALs that are new and waiting to be saved. This is a bit faster than going through each Manage PAL feed or looking up each individual client. And from here, you'll be able to save them in the same way Alexis had demonstrated in her PAL webinar available on YouTube. Pro tip number 3, enroll in RPAG University. RPAG University is our great tutorial library that has step-by-step guides across just about every report and tool available to you in the portal. This tool is really underutilized, but I can attest to it myself. When I first joined RPAG, I was in here every day for hours. I think I could recite some of these to you word for word. These videos are digestible, they're informative, and you can play them as you go through the report. Stop and pause as you go through each step. If it's your first time going to RPAG University, you'll want to enroll and sign up with the email address you use with your portal. Then you'll go down and click on Getting Started with RPAG. Here you'll see our dozens of tutorial videos that you can watch and learn from. There's also another course called Retirement Advisor 101. This is a great retirement basics course that will bring you through best practices for defined contribution plans. And this brings us to pro tip number 4, the fastest way to see your whole book of business at a glance. In this case, we're going to look at advisor reports and advisor IQ. So this isn't necessarily a new tool, but it is a tool that might be new for you. It is a great way to see what's going on in your book of business overall, not only currently, but you can also look back at historics. Let's take a look at what that might look like. You can access your advisor IQ from the main menu under Practice Management. Advisor IQ will bring you to this Power BI dashboard. This is a dynamic dashboard where as you click on various parts of the graphics, it'll filter the rest of the dashboard to match that. If you click on the little clock icon in the top left corner under AUA, you'll be able to see all your historical data and select the months and years and see how that data updates and changes. Advisor reports you can think of as the sister reporting for Advisor IQ. Advisor reports can give you expansive Excel sheets with data across your book of business under various subjects. One report I see pulled most often is this clients or prospects with the sub-report plan data. You can check the box and click apply, and you'll see a table generate below. This table will include data about your plan from plan name and contract number all the way to assets and if there is a PAL feed attached to it. So this is a great way to double check on your plans. Other reports I see utilized often are the Assets Under Advisement tab and Fund Reporting. These can give you a clear picture of how the funds in your plans are doing as a whole. When you go to export these reports and click on the Export button, you're able to filter out which columns you want to include or exclude in the final Excel output. And that brings us to the end of our pro tips. Thank you again for joining me on this segment. I hope you were able to take something away from this with respect to the portal and becoming a true RPAG expert.
Thank you so much, Brooke. So next up, we are turning it over to Jeanette O from our investment team to dive in how we evaluate allocation funds from style benchmarks to our scorecard methodology. So if you've ever wondered how we balance performance data with strategy alignment, this segment is for you.
Thanks, Ashley, for that introduction. Hi, everyone. My name's Jeanette O. I'm an investment analyst here at RPAG, and I will be going over the investment FAQ portion of this month's RPAG Scoop. So today, I wanted to go over everything as it relates to asset allocation funds. And so the first question that I have prepared is, how does RPAG evaluate asset allocation funds? And to start with that, wanted to point out that our asset allocation funds include target date funds, risk-based series, multi-sector bond funds, etc. So for these asset allocation funds, RPAG requires 5 years of performance history to score. With the ideal asset allocation manager, what we are really looking for is outperformance, strong peer group rankings, as well as a management team with a long track record. RPAG also evaluates asset allocation funds using a custom style benchmark, which we will go over in a later slide. Here's a photo of what our asset allocation scorecard looks like. And for those of you who haven't had a breakdown of the scorecard in general, 80% of the scorecard looks at quantitative factors, while the remaining 20% looks at qualitative factors like expenses, manager tenure, and strength of statistics. With our asset allocation scorecard specifically, we use specific style analytics that are targeted to measure diversification by the manager. When you look at the screenshot below of that top section, you'll see 30% looks at style. And under the hood of those style factors, we look at risk level, style diversity, and R squared. The other 50% of the quantitative portion of the scorecard looks at risk return factors relative to that custom style benchmark, as well as peer group rankings. Specific to our asset allocation bucket, we also have a scorecard that is specific to target date fund strategies. And really what this scorecard is a blended score, which weights 50% to the fund's allocation score, which is that screenshot that we saw in the previous slide, as well as a 50% weight to the selection score, which looks at the scores of all the underlying fund performance in the series. Really what we're looking at is not only how well the manager is allocating and diversifying to the different asset classes, but we also want to see the manager's skill and how well they are at selecting the underlying funds within a target date fund series. Another really common question that we get from our membership is, how does RPAG categorize allocation strategies? So typically with non-allocation funds, such as any actively managed or passively managed fund, RPAG follows the Morningstar category to place these funds into their respective asset classes. This looks a little different for allocation funds. For our asset allocation strategies, those funds are categorized into their appropriate risk buckets based on the 5-year standard deviation. Every manager has different tolerances and assumptions for risk. Therefore, RPAG categorizes these portfolios using a universal risk metric, standard deviation. This allows RPAG to group and evaluate funds in a consistent manner and approach. So right here below in the screenshot, you can see that there is a little demonstrative graph where we show the 5 risk buckets and where each of those dots, which correlates to an asset allocation fund, will plot on that. Lastly, the biggest question that we get surrounding our asset allocation strategies is, what is the style benchmark? So every asset allocation fund gets its own unique returns-based style benchmark. RPAG creates this benchmark by using returns-based style analysis to create a returns-based style composition of that particular asset allocation fund. If you're not sure what returns-based style analysis is, I really recommend checking out last month's RPAG Scoop, where we went over everything there is to know about returns-based style analysis. So once we use the quadratic optimization to create this returns-based style composition of the fund, we will replicate that to then create the fund's custom style benchmark. The way that we run this regression is using 4 indices in the following categories. We use the Russell 1000 to represent US equities, MSCI ACWI ex-US to represent the international sleeve, Bloomberg Barclays Ag Bond to represent fixed income, and the 3-month T-bill to represent cash. The reason why RPAG has chosen to use a custom style benchmark as opposed to a generic, broader benchmark for asset allocation funds is really because each fund has its own unique properties and weighting to the different asset classes. Therefore, that can make it really difficult to make comparisons to a universal benchmark. RPAG's solution to that was to then create a custom style benchmark that was unique to each asset allocation fund using the returns-based style analysis that we use for all of our other style metrics. So those are all the commonly questions that I have prepared to go over with you today. If you have any additional questions, feel free to email in to our support team at support@rpag.com, and we'd be happy to go over any of these questions or anything related to asset allocation scoring with you. Thanks for joining. Bye.
Thank you, Jeanette. I'm sure everyone enjoyed learning about our strategies. And to close out this edition of The Scoop, Alexis Patnode, our advisor service trainer, is here to walk you through one of the most frequently asked topics from our members, which is how to accept a PAL feed and where to find all the resources you need to use it confidently.
Hello and welcome to this month's Ask an ASA. My name is Alexis Patnode and this month's topic is PAL. The questions of the month are what resources are available for PAL and also how do I accept a PAL feed? Let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so first we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the resources we have available for PAL. So these resources are going to be available within our Resource Center. We go ahead and click on Resource Center and we scroll down to the Plan Asset Link or PAL category. We do have 3 documents available. The first document is how to accept PAL links. The second document is a PAL description for plan sponsors. And the third document is a PAL overview and provider list. Let's go ahead and take a look at each of these documents. They're able to be downloaded by simply clicking on the tile of the document you'd like to view. Our first document is how to accept PAL links. I will be going over this process in just a moment, but this downloadable document outlines step-by-step how to accept the link. Our second document is a PAL description for plan sponsors. This document outlines an email template you're able to send to your plan sponsors, specifically when you're sending them the PAL consent form to sign. Our third document is the PAL overview and provider list. This document outlines the PAL process from consent forms, submitting them, and accepting PAL data feeds, as well as a list of all PAL providers that we have PAL relationships with. Within this section, you'll see a list of all the providers, as well as how often their feeds come in, and any notes applicable to those specific providers. You will also see a section a little bit further through the document for Matrix and Mid-Atlantic. If your provider was not in the original provider list, you may find them within either of these 2 columns. That's letting you know that you are able to create a PAL connection through Matrix or Mid-Atlantic using their consent forms. At the very bottom of our PAL overview, we do have a chart listing the additional data points offered by select providers. Moving back into the Resource Center, there is an additional category within the PAL Asset Link folder. That's going to be provider consent forms. Provider consent forms are necessary for the majority of our RPAG users to establish a PAL connection. You will see that the consent forms are listed in alphabetical order dependent on their record keeper. Clicking on any of these tiles will download the consent form directly to your computer. Please note that all providers accept DocuSign or e-signatures, except for Nationwide, who does require a wet signature. Once the document is filled out, it may be submitted to our PAL team at pal@rpag.com. Now let's go ahead and take a look at how to accept a PAL feed. The easiest way is to select your client/prospect that has a PAL connection and scroll to their plan card. Here, you will see an orange PAL symbol indicating that action needs to be taken and a PAL feed is ready to accept. Clicking on the orange PAL link is going to take you to the PAL feed mapping page. Within this page, you are able to see the most recent PAL feed available, any new funds to your lineup that were detected by PAL, as well as any funds that are staying the same. And if any funds are being removed, they will also be listed as well. You will first need to select Save Mapping to save the PAL link. Then, once the link is saved, you will have another opportunity to look over a summary of the changes that are being made. You will also have the opportunity to turn on AutoSync if you wish. AutoSync allows your plan to automatically be accepted on a monthly or quarterly basis, depending on what you select. unless there is a fund change. So if there is a fund change, AutoSync will not be applicable. Once you've selected AutoSync, you are able to select monthly or quarterly. Please note that AutoSync needs to be selected before confirming your PAL feed, as it is not able to be done after the plan has been confirmed. Once you select Confirm, you will then see the date the link was confirmed at the top of your Summary of PAL Update page. And if we go back to plan details, we are able to now see a navy blue icon with a link in the middle of it, indicating that our PAL feed has been accepted and our plan is now showing the most up-to-date plan level data. Thank you all for tuning in for our Ask an ASA segment today. If you'd like to learn more about PAL, please tune in to my digital session, PAL 101, which is available on our YouTube channel, as well as the webinars section of our website. If you have any PAL-specific questions, please reach out to our PAL team at pal@rpag.com. And any other questions, you may reach out to our support team, which is support@rpag.com. See you next time.
Thank you, Alexis, and definitely make sure to go watch her PAL webinar that is in our webinar page of our website or available on YouTube. But that does wrap up this month's edition of the RPAG Scoop. From platform tips to investment insight to PALs, how-tos, and education, we hope today's content helps you work smarter, stay informed, and serve your clients more confidently. Thank you for following along with us this month. We'll see you again on Monday, June 2nd for the next edition of The Scoop. Have a great May and see you next time.